The fortifications that we're seeing behind us were fully completed in the 1700s, but this area became important in like AD 47 when Emperor Claudia Augustus came through here with a Roman road. And so there's like over 2,000 years worth of history that we're about to have under our feet. And that makes me happy.
Hey guys, I'm Bear.
And I'm Turtle, and welcome back to the Gallivanthropologists, and welcome back to Bavaria. I can't wait to go back to Bavaria, it's beautiful. And if you want to see more of that, we've got a few videos already out of our Alpstoberfest. We're even going to creep a little bit into Austria, like weave in and out of it this time, but it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, when you're in Bavaria, sometimes you do end up going into Austria because it's so close to the border. And if you guys want to find the best castles like we do, then we definitely recommend doing that. And there's like 2,000 plus years of history in this area, and it was just incredible to tour it.
Now, one thing that I do have to admit is you probably all searched for Cinderella's castle or Neuschwanstein, and that's how you came about this. So if you want to skip ahead, I probably won't cry very much, and you can go to the end and see Neuschwanstein. But first, we wanted to start in the earliest area, and this is Ehrenberg Castle, and it's so cool. It's like there's a medieval castle on one side and there's a Roman citadel on the other side, and combining the two is this hanging bridge that's like probably higher than most of the ones we did in the Himalayas. So come on, let's go check it out.
When you get to Ehrenberg Castle, you're gonna walk through this gate, and on the right, you'll see the lift up to the top part, which is where the main attraction is, but there is some stuff to do on the lower end, especially if you're kids like us. You can play on the playground, which was actually pretty fun.
This is the lower part of the fortification behind me, and it has fallen a long time ago. If it was just like people just would come down through here low, this probably would have been impenetrable with the cliffs on both sides and fortifications on both sides. But unfortunately for the people who were defending here, the people outsmarted them and outflanked them, which happens very often in history. So we're here at Ehrenberg Castle, and there's a fort up here and one of the tallest suspension bridges in Europe. It was 15 euros, including the lift. You can hike it and save about $8, but it is cold and it keeps storming. And so we decided to take the easy way out, but it certainly has beautiful views. It would be even more beautiful if the top of all of the Alps weren't covered in clouds today, but seems cool, and I get to be in the ruins, and that's where I like to be.
And the lift takes you right to the defensive wall, and there's kind of like a barrack section there, and they've turned it into a little museum, and it's fun. There's some interpretive signs, there's a nice video, and there's this cool crossbow, which is really fun. And then you go out back and you see there's like some cannonballs, and there's some more information, and you can kind of see what it would have been used for. And it's right in the shadow of that ruined castle, which is beautiful.
And the wall was there to protect the castle. We're gonna call it a castle here. It's actually a burg. It was more almost like a fortress, but it's on this like really strategic hill, and the ruins are actually still pretty well intact, or so they appear. It actually was pretty much in ruins in the 1800s, and they were thinking about, the Austrian government was thinking about building a larger fortification there, because they still did that type of fortification thing at that time, and that kind of fell through. And then in the 1900s, you get the Rettet Ehrenberg, and these guys are kind of like an archaeological hero or whatever, and they actually reconstruct it. It is not owned by the government, so the reason for the fees is to allow them to restore it and stuff, and I think it's money well spent. Super cool history. 13th century is when they started to build this part of it. We're going to go to an older part in just a second. But in the 13th century, they built this because the salt trade came right through that valley. And it seems like it was to guard the salt trade, but the truth is they put that wall up, it seems like just so they can collect the toll. And so they would raise money for all of the things that the Tyrolean, I think it's Tyrolean, but the army from Tirol would need in order to like rule the area and stuff like that.
So it wasn't to try to justify who the king was? You know, they had the stone with the sword and the stone.
No, that was just for you to have fun trying to give yourself a hernia or something.
See if I'm the rightful king.
So it turns out I'm not the king. It's unfortunate. But there was still a lot more to the site to see, and we wanted to get over to the other side to Fort Claudia, and the only way to get there is to go over the suspension bridge. It's over 400 meters long. It's the longest pedestrian suspension bridge in the entire world, and to boot, it's about 110 meters high.
We're here on a very tall but very stable suspension bridge. If you're afraid of heights, don't look down. It's pretty far, but I gotta tell you, it is a lot more secure than some of the ones that we were on in Nepal. And even though the wind's blowing through here and the rain is blowing through here, at least it's not 75 miles an hour with the bridge rocking back and forth. You guys, if you're daredevils and you haven't gone to Nepal or plan to go to Nepal, you're freaking out of your mind. But this place is kind of cool. If you're going to be in Europe, it's a lot easier to get to. Let's keep going.
You definitely need to go over the suspension bridge, not only because this is where Fort Claudia is, which is another fort that was built about 200 years after the castle, but also it's probably the best viewpoint of the castle. It's just beautiful. I mean, look at that.
And so once you cross the bridge, there's a really nice hike. I think it was only like 20 minutes or so, but it's nice and winding, and there's all these little beautiful viewpoints, and I can imagine on a clear day you could see forever.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure it was really strategic where they put this fort. And I was really excited about the fort, not only because it's a cool fort, but it's also rumored to have been built on Roman ruins. I wish we could still see some of that, but that's the way history goes.
But if you do like Roman ruins, we've got a lot of those in our old videos, so go back and check it out, especially Jerash. The Roman ruins in Jordan rival the Roman ruins in Rome itself, and so definitely go back. I'll put it up here, check it out.
We're at the top of Fort Claudia, and it's a really somewhat strategic spot. If somebody is attacking along the edge of the ravine and down in the bottom, and the first people apparently in the 1500s tried to attack it that way, and then eventually they came up here above it and attacked it. So then the forces built this fort in the 1700s, and as you can see, they decided not to go all the way up to the top. And so the people just decided that what they would do is they'd take their cannons up here, which seems like a hell of a feat, and then they'd bomb down here. So by 1780, the forces here said, well, all of these fortresses are completely useless and everything went to ruins, but I like ruins, and so I guess it's hard to say, but I'm glad that they did.
Truth be told, we actually hadn't planned going to Castle Ehrenberg. It was on the way from Garmisch-Partenkirchen to Neuschwanstein, and so we probably didn't have as much time as we wanted because we wanted to make sure to get to Neuschwanstein earlier rather than later. If you guys have never heard of Neuschwanstein, but it does look a little familiar, that's because this was actually the basis for the Cinderella Castle. So rumor has it that Walt Disney actually toured the castle when he was thinking about his theme park, and he used a lot of the same construction elements in the Cinderella Castle as was used in Neuschwanstein.
By this time of day, this bridge is usually super crowded and you can't even get a selfie with the thing. So if you just come when it's freezing and raining, then you'll have it all to yourself, which is exciting. We're here above Neuschwanstein Castle, tucked in under a cliff to get out of the rain. We did not pick the best week to be here, but we do get a lot of it to ourselves. And so I wanted to show you how beautiful this is. And so first off, let's cue some Envato flyovers from when the weather was really good. And then maybe we'll show you the view that we actually have. It's actually really beautiful right here as well. Kind of has this magical, mystical thing going on. And all the drops on the camera are probably adding to that.
And right across that bridge, actually like right next to where Dad is, there's a hike that goes up the hill and there's a great viewpoint of Neuschwanstein, but because it was so wet and rainy and foggy, we decided to skip that and just headed straight to the castle.
There she is, Neuschwanstein. It's about, I think it's my number 100 on my bucket list, so it just barely made the top 100. It's the inspiration for the Cinderella Castle. It looks beautiful. I wish that it wasn't so rainy. I'm sure that it looks much prettier when it's clear. We'll definitely have to come back and see that. Maybe like a month from now when there's changing colors in the leaves. I think that'd be really beautiful.
Castles aren't usually on my bucket list, but the one thing when we were planning this and watching it on YouTube that had my mouth literally watering was the fritters.
When you're in Neuschwanstein, make sure you go downhill a little bit, and there's a little place with cork pastries, which are supposedly the best version of these in Germany, according to a bunch of people on YouTube. So we're gonna let Victoria test it out.
Oh my God. Wow. It's really delicious, but sort of like soft inside.
It smells good.
That's really good. It's like a donut, but maybe a little better.
They're just over $1 a piece, about €3.50.
Let's go
And
get
they're
some more.
worth it. We're gonna go get more.
This is where you get the Quark Bäuschen, which is a quark pastry. And it's like a donut, but like 100 times better. It just kind of melts in your mouth. These ones are actually cheesier than the other ones. Really nice.
So we're here at the base of Neuschwanstein Castle, and we got something that is a specialty of the area, which is a mulled hot red wine. And the steam's coming off, which is a very welcome sanctuary for us on this cold, wet, and rainy day. So I'm going to give it a try. It's got this cute little mug here with Christmas angels, which I think is a really big thing around here. So let's give it a taste. It's actually really good, and it's making me feel warmer already.
It's very nice. It does have a little bit of the alcohol wine flavor to it, but it's balanced out really well with a bunch of spices. And it's got like cinnamon and clove in it. Maybe some sort of citrus, I think like orange. It's really nice, and especially on a cold day like today.
And of course you can actually tour the inside of the castle, but because we were such a big group, not everybody wanted to go into the museum, and you have to pay ahead of time, or at least when we were there, you had to buy your tickets ahead of time. So we ended up missing out on that, so we're gonna do that next time, but we wanted to get somewhere to have some beer and continue this Alpstoberfest.
A nice little side trip from Garmisch is to pop over here to Füssen, and it's got this really cool pedestrian old walk. The whole city's amazing, and apparently there's a bunch of really wonderful beer gardens and things here, so we're gonna go find one and have a nice beer, because this is our Alpstoberfest trip.
One thing I do have to say about Füssen is it was a beautiful old Bavarian town, and just walking around was amazing. And then there's a bunch of different beer gardens in there. I think next time we might actually stay there for a couple of days because it really was that entertaining. But we had one particular really amazing brewery in mind.
Yeah, there's a brewery with a view of Neuschwanstein, which is absolutely awesome. And of course they have some really great beer and some awesome food, but I don't want to get into that too much because next week we are going to do a tour of the Bavarian food, all the amazing meals and beer that we had in Bavaria, and you guys are not going to want to miss out.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us, and we hope that you are enjoying this and liking it and that you're following along. We're just getting better and better. We actually recorded this like a year ago, so believe me, in advance, our stuff we just did in Peru and Chile was really, really excellent. You're gonna really wanna stick around for that. But I hope you find yourself going to Oktoberfest and doing an Alpstoberfest and seeing all this beautiful stuff so soon. And as always, find yourself on the journey.